welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast, where you forget the intro that you practiced for almost 24 hours. Hey, but you know what? It's okay because we are in the future right now. Well, I'm sitting here Wednesday, and Aaron, our guest today, is sitting in Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Mejia is here. He's been on the podcast before. We're gonna catch up and the craziness of how we're gonna catch up. But Aaron Mejia, thanks for being on from the future.
Glad to be here. It is a lovely, crisp morning here on Thursday. And surprisingly, it's not hot as hell today, so that's good.
Ooh, well, I'm here in Texas, and usually it's hot. Aaron, you're in Vietnam, right?
I feel like you shouted so loud that you blew your mic.
Probably Vietnam. I probably did.
Good morning, Vietnam!
But also, when I was saying that, like I was like, as soon as it was coming out of my mouth, I don't know why I was thinking, wait, is he in the Philippines? I was like, oh no, did I just mess up?
Like, that's racist, just because we look Filipino.
Oh, okay. Two brown people in countries they probably don't belong.
Just a white-looking brown man in Asia has to be Filipino.
Maybe. And let's not get canceled right off the bat, right?
Hey, look, Filipinos are our cousins. They are the Latinos of Asia, so it's fine.
Wait, so was I wrong when I said Vietnam? Are you not in Vietnam?
No, I'm still in Vietnam. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, that just made it sound like you were in the Philippines.
I did go to the Philippines. What was it? 2 months ago, though.
Oh.
It was lovely. It was so nice. It was such a nice time.
Maybe that's why, like, while I was saying,
you had it, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I remember this. Hey, you know what I don't remember? The intro. So sit back, buckle up, let's go. Too hard, too fast. Boom.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back
to Too Hard,
Too Fast.
Anything that rolls downhill, man.
I mean, old habits die hard, right?
It's the podcast by the people, for the people.
Well, I'm going too hard, too fast.
We are double fisted on that ass.
Only here, too hard, too fast. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast. The podcast where Jorge doesn't really tell me what we're going to talk about, and I don't tell him what I'm going to talk about either. So it's going to be a really weird ride.
Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle in.
So welcome everyone to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast.
That's right. Where we go off the rails, and George has to worry about it. So here we go.
For the podcast of the century.
Cheers.
Aaron, the last time we talked, it was in the middle of, and I said this before, and I said it, I wouldn't say it again because it sounded kind of sexualized, but you know what? We're in the middle of the HandyPandy.
That's true. It's true. It was in the middle of the lockdowns and everything, wasn't it?
Well, the United States was locked down, but Vietnam wasn't. You guys were living life.
Oh yeah. I think we had already made it past the lockdown stage at that point. And you guys were still deep into it.
Yeah, because you guys were like, we'll do it for 2 weeks. And then all of you did it for 2 weeks. And then it was like, oh, chill. And we were like, you can't lock me down for 2 weeks.
Sure.
You can't tell me what to do.
It worked out, though. Like, everything's back to 100% normal here, though.
Yeah. Well, I remember we talked some time ago, and we were back into like normal life, which was weird getting back into it. But we finally get like a little semblance of normalcy. And then I'm hearing, Vietnam's shutting down again and everything's going into lockdown. And I texted you and I go, how does that taste, motherfucker? No, I was like, dude, what's going on with you guys? Like, I thought you guys were in the clear. And it's like, oh, no. Was that weird going back to it? Like when you guys thought you guys were in the clear?
Yeah, it was. But, overall, I think it was handled pretty well here. But it was the same as pretty much everywhere, I think, where it got to a point where people just didn't give a damn anymore. And so you started seeing like these clusters of people who were just like, yeah, I'm not wearing a mask anymore. I'm just doing whatever the hell. Like if I get it, I get it. And then and even to this day, it's a weird thing really to be outside and doing things. Like at the beginning of my school year, for example, I had a mask strapped on me 24/7. It's because I work with kids. I work with people who are gross. It's like they cough, they don't cover their mouths, they put boogers everywhere. So like it was for me a still a paranoid thing of like, look, I'm a teacher, I'm gonna be in front of children, I'm gonna be in front of teenagers, and so I need to make sure that I don't get sick. And then I got sick.
Did you get sick with the vid?
I got it, man, and I didn't get it as bad. It was, for me, it was like a 3-day thing. It was like a 3-day flu, and it was like, all right, I'm done. And then my fiance was like dead for like 2 weeks. And I was like, sorry.
Hey, sucks for you. I feel like, and I don't want to jinx myself, and I don't want to talk about this part too much, but I am fascinated. I don't know if that's the right word, but just I may be intrigued with how everything was handled in different places, and that's why when we first talked, like that's why I focused on that so much because you're in a whole different part of the world, and you're from Honduras, so you're a person that has family in a different country, and they're handling it a different way. You're in a foreign country to you, and you're seeing how that's handled. So I wanted to talk to you in that case to see what was going on for you guys. But yeah, so I don't even know where I was going this, but going anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. But with the mask thing, I do want to say I never really enjoyed the mask. But I also liked burping into the mask, and
I remember this. Yes,
I feel like I mentioned that.
We talked about your breakfast burps.
Yes.
That I do remember. You gross bastard.
I enjoyed that a lot. Sometimes I miss it. But I don't
Nobody's stopping you.
Right, I could just do it.
Just do it.
Aaron, how's Vietnam now?
All good, man. I mean, honestly, there's like been like an economic boom over the last couple of years, if anything. Things are starting to look up really good in Vietnam. Overall, I think people are doing very well. There's a lot of investment coming in, so there's a lot of changes happening over the last couple of years. You see like a lot of different like just building projects and stuff. So it's been nice. There's been like a very good boom in the economy, and I feel like after losing a lot of what was tourism based, economy, we're doing good. Okay, we're doing good here. It's been a nice moment in time after everything that happened.
You've been there for about 7 years, right?
I've been here 5 years. Just had my 5th anniversary on December.
5 years. See, I was judging on the fact that I saw a few posts from you and your girlfriend,
fiance, soon to be wife.
Hey, there you go. See, I was like, did I see that? I know I didn't want to jump the gun and say fiance and be like, well, I have to edit that out. But
now you're leaving this in, or I'm canceling my subscription.
Is it that okay, you've been with her for 7 years, or that's wrong?
I've been here. I met her 7 years ago. I've been with her 6.
Okay, see, my internet creeping is good. I knew 7 was a thing.
I mean, it doesn't help that I post way too much crap on the internet.
And I'm all here for it, baby. Okay, so you've been there 5 years. Have you learned the language?
A little bit. I think over the last year, maybe, I've been a little bit more proactive about it. So like I can speak it a little bit better. Not great, but at least I can make myself understood with a lot of things. I have a lot of like little sound bites that I've learned how to say.
The important ones.
Yeah, so it's like I know how to order food. I know how to give directions to somebody. The most important phrase that I could learn in Vietnam is "I am full." Like look, man, the single-handedly most important phrase I have learned, other than "I love you." It has made my life a lot easier, and because yeah, it's like Vietnamese people will force feed you. It's it's a very similar feeling to like Latino culture where like you will be force fed and you will be asked again and again if you are full. And when you look like me, a what is it like? I think it's like 6'2" or 6 foot. I don't know in feet. It's so I'm 180 centimeter or 185 and 200 pounds. I'm a big dude. And so everybody assumes that I eat a lot. I don't.
Dang, six
I
feet, man. Woo!
It's like I just worked tech support forever for like 8 years, and that made me fat. I don't eat a lot, and so every time it's just like, oh, like, do you want to eat? Do you want this food? Do you want this? And I'm like, no, I'm full. I'm full. I'm full. I'm full. Like, chào ăn no soy, chào ăn no soy. Like I have had to learn that. That is by far the single-handedly best phrase I have learned. Doesn't prevent them from trying to feed me, but it at least I now have a way to say like, no, please, no more food. Like, cover my bowl. I'm done.
No, and I mean, the thing is, like, I would feel like that's how they can show you their cultures through their food. And you know what? I don't mind that. I'm a big guy, and you know what? If you want to give me some food, I will eat it. I'm all for it. But
I think it's the biggest difference is the rice, man. Like, look, you're Mexican. I'm Honduran. We get full with rice.
oh, you get full on the rice.
That's it. Like for us, rice is a filler. It's not a main dish. It's a filler. It's a side. It's something that you add to your food in order to get full. For them, rice is the main thing. It's a big part of the meal. And so like my fiance will have like 2-3 bowls of rice and then still eat like a whole chicken or whatever, or like something big. And I'll be like, how? I can't do that.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
have
I
a
couldn't
tiny
either.
yeah, I'll have the tiny little bowl of rice, and then I'm like, I'm full already. Like, I don't need food anymore. I'm out. And they're like, oh, he doesn't eat that much. He eats like a little baby bird. I'm like, no, it's just I can't do that with rice. On the flip side, though, when it's bean time, I'm like, give me all the beans. Give me all the beans. It's fine. They'll eat a little bit of beans and be like, oh, I'm really full already. This is so heavy. And I'll be like, this is just like 3 tacos. Keep going. Like,
Yeah.
there's more. Come on.
It's like there's a main entree and then there's a bowl of just beans.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of make me think. Have you ever heard of bean and cheese tacos?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Is that a thing that you eat?
I remember we talked about this last time that you mentioned that your kid loved bean and cheese tacos.
Yes, kid, wife, everybody in San Antonio.
And you were against them, were you?
Yes, here in San Antonio, and that's why I mentioned San Antonio. Mostly like anything from mid Texas and lower is all about bean and cheese tacos. And I'm like, bean and cheese, beans alone are a side dish. They're not the main entree. And people eat it here like it's the main entree. And I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Well, it's been what, 2 years, 3 years since I've been on your podcast. Let me restate it again. Bean and cheese tacos are great. Sorry, my stance has not changed on this. It's still great. It's
I like
not
some bean and cheese, but I gotta put a meat or something into it with it.
See, like I can have one per serving. All right, it's like that's the compromise I'll make. I can't eat just bean and cheese tacos, but I'll always try to order at least one.
Yeah, I don't hate them. I just don't think they're an entree. Just like rice. Rice is not an entree, but you know what? If I'm eating at an Asian restaurant, then I expect the rice, and I expect the rice to go with my meal. But yeah, I'm 100%, and they know that too. You know, and here in the U.S., they know that rice is gonna fill you up, so they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get a big bowl," and then like 3/4 of it is rice, and then there's like, "Here's your entree."
That's like it, yeah. It's like people who go to a buffet and then fill up on the salad. It's like, no, you just go for the other things. Go for
Yeah.
the other things.
What I am interested in, I've seen a lot in Vietnam with their food is their street food. Like there's like very little like Vietnam and Thailand, which I've never been to both, and I wish I will one day. But from those two and the no, maybe not the Philippines, but for sure Vietnam and Thailand, the street food, like it's all over the place, and I kind of want to try it.
There's a lot of good food. There's a lot of weird.
That almost
food.
sounds like stay away from it.
It's like that. It's like there's a lot of good food. There's a lot of weird food. It's like there's a whole mix. So like it's definitely something to explore.
That's what I think. Like I wonder, like if I'm down for the weird, like food. Like I want to believe that I am. I just don't know, but I won't. I've never been in the situation, but right now I feel like I'm down.
It's like you want to know if you're Mexican enough.
If my stomach is Mexican
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, there's definitely weird things that you can find here. It's interesting how much people here do. Number one, with rice, there are so many applications that I was like, no, I just eat rice in a bowl and then that's it. That's my thing. And it like here I've seen like such weird things made with rice, like really cool things, really weird things. You'll get a little bit of everything. You get a lot of like entrails kind of thing. Like just last night, my fiance was eating like a skewer with like 5 chicken hearts. And I was just like, wait. I was like, no, why? Like I've seen her eat like pig's brain and stuff. That I'm like, nope, no, I'm out. I was like, no, just look. If I'm gonna eat something, just like cut it off it, not inside of it.
No. I've had I don't know what kind of brains, but I've had something. I went when I was in high school, I went to my friend's barbecue at his house with his family, and the dad serves me, goes, "These are sesos." And I go, "Cool." And I ate them, and I go, "What are sesos?" He goes, "Brains." I was like, "Dang it." But they were good. I don't know what kind. Could have been human. I don't know. I ate it.
Yeah, it's you definitely get a lot of interesting food in Vietnam. Yeah, like the street food. It's at least in Hanoi. I don't think there's like a ton of variety, but then as you travel through the country, because I've been a little bit to the center mostly, and you do get like very regional foods all around, and so like it's really cool.
Okay, going back to the language thing though. The first thing everybody says when they're learning a language is like, "Oh, I learned the bad words." Do you have a few bad words in your back pocket?
Oh, of course. Like I had to learn how to drive a bike here, and people drive like insane people. Like there's nothing left to live for. So yes, I do know bad words, and I use them constantly while I'm driving.
Oh, give me the bad word for fuck. And I mean the one for like if somebody just cut you off and you want to be like, oh,
Oh God, Jesus, you're gonna put me on the spot here.
is there one? Does it translate?
I think maybe "kudi" would be like "fuck off."
Okay.
I mean, the worst one is basically telling you to fuck your mom. Which
Well, I probably shouldn't be holding a Mario when I'm doing. I was like, where did that come from?
it was yeah, like here I've been told, I don't know if this is true. Look, disclaimer: people keep telling me things and I keep believing them. So they told me that like here the worst insult you can tell to somebody is "dime mai," which is basically like fuck your mom. Uh, which I tend to believe because it's a very like mothers here are a very big thing, and it's a very big part of the family and responsibility and everything. So very similar to like Latino culture in that sense. And so I've never actually heard somebody say it to somebody else, like in anger. So I feel that it might be accurate because I haven't heard it that much. That might be like the worst insult you can tell to somebody that's Vietnamese. Just like, oh, fuck your mom.
I would assume so because like even in Spanish, like there's a lot of bad words that you can use but it would be so bad if you use it to someone's mom, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a word for that. But I guess translated, it could be in English. It could be like motherfucker. Oh, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Which I like
like
to say motherfucker because it's a little less worse.
I was like, shows that you're a dad and had to curb your cousin for a
Actually,
while.
I learned that from my son. So there was okay. So we're driving and it's like a parking for I think Target. I don't know what I think it was Target. It was a store parking lot, and I'm driving slow already, so I can see that people are crossing and I can stop whatever. But this motherfucker, he jumps out of nowhere and runs across. Grown man should have known better, and I'm like, bam, slamming on my brakes even if I'm going slow, and I just yell, "Oh, you motherfucker!" I was like, oh, and I realized he's in the back, and he goes, "You motherfucker!" Yeah, and he said it like that, and I was like, that should belong on a T-shirt somewhere. For too hard,
I'm
too
sure
fast.
I'm sure that was a fun conversation getting home.
Oh, my wife was in the cars with
Oh,
me. And she's like, she's like, she's gave me those like dead stare, like, really, really, you just did
like
that.
he's gonna be repeating this shit for like weeks now. Thanks.
He did for a while, but luckily he stopped. He doesn't use it anymore, but I continue to use it because I love
I
it.
feel like it's one of those things when you have kids. Like I can't wait to have a kid and just teach them really dumb things or have them learn really dumb things that I've said and then hear them just replay it and then be like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that.
Oh, no, no, no.
Like, because I know it's gonna happen to me. I have a hard time measuring my words around the house. It's like I can do it at school, but it's as soon as I'm done, I don't have to be professional anymore.
No, yes. And I feel like I'm very lucky that he knows what is bad and shouldn't be used in public. And even in our vicinity, he won't use it.
Mm.
Like he'll look at me like, "Oh, you shouldn't use it." But he isn't also like, "Oh no," like scared of it. Like, like if somebody else says it, like he's like fine, like he just continues on with his day. And it's like, "Oh," or he'll tell someone like, "You shouldn't say that. That's rude." I don't know. So I like
I
that.
think it's a very interesting shift. Like I read an article by a psychologist a couple of years ago who was talking about these things about like child rearing and everything because I was working on doing some voiceover for some early childhood education channels. And so she was talking about how most of us grew up listening to like, no, that's a bad word. It's like that's a bad word. And that limits children's languages. But it also creates a bias towards them by telling them like no, like words are bad. It creates an image that there are words that you shouldn't say because you're gonna get in trouble. And then that's it. So she mentioned like you should make the shift towards calling them not bad words, but calling them adult words.
Mm.
And that reinforces the idea of like, yeah, this is why the adults constantly are saying them. And you as a child should not say them yet. It's not that you're not going to be able to say them. It's just that they're not for you.
Yeah.
And it gives them a little bit more agency, but it also gives them that idea of like, okay, I shouldn't say that because I am a child. I'm not an adult. So it's not that I can't use the language. It's not that I shouldn't know this word, that it's something forbidden. It's just something that I'm not ready for yet.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really cool idea of like thinking about it, of like just those little shifts in languages that we see throughout the generations, throughout the decades and everything that really make a difference. Like, especially for you and me who worked with kids, you see the difference in like how kids react to language and how they really use it to explore their world.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have those shifts in generations and like in how we express ourselves and how we really again how we really interact with the world and how these kids are learning to interact with the world. It makes such a big difference how we frame things.
That's yeah. I mean, I I feel like I've had that thought. I've never not in that like intellectual way. No, it's a good way of putting it because it's like, yeah, like I don't think they're bad words. They're just words you have to be, and I say this all the time to people, young, older, like you have to know what words you can use and what place. Like in certain places, hey, let that F word fly all you want. But in other situations, you gotta hold it back and not say it.
Yeah, like intent matters. It's real. It's the same in my classroom. Like I would tell my students, like, yeah, if you want to cuss, go for it. I don't care. It's not gonna offend me. However, if you're using it to make somebody else feel bad, that's when we're gonna have a conversation. But if you're just like, oh, like fuck, because you got angry or frustrated or you were stressed or something bad happened, I'm not gonna be like, well, you get demerits for that because that's against the code. It's like I don't care. Like I'm an adult, I can take it. Like
Yeah.
you are somebody who is young, it's fine as long as the intent really matters. So if you're gonna just be cussing just to for fun or just to like actually harm somebody, that's when it becomes a problem. Yeah.
Fair enough. I promise I won't cuss anymore. Not really. Um, Speaking of voiceover, so I remember when you first were on, and even before that, you were already working towards voiceovers.
Yeah.
Has that picked up, and like what else you're doing? And you know what I've been trying to do, and I hope that this is something I could make happen. I've been trying to bring on a voiceover actor on the podcast and have you co-host because I feel like that would be like the best.
I'm in. I'm in. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. It's happening.
It's
Let's do
happening.
this.
There's a 12-hour difference in
just so I
this
can get
direction.
I'll wake up at 3 a.m. if I have to just to talk to a real voiceover actor, okay? Like I will, just so I can get a industry connection.
Well, yeah. I hope that's my goal. But ever since we talked or have been talking, that has been my goal to get somebody here on the podcast that will come on and then have you co-host. Like that's I don't know, like that just feels like that
That'd be
would be
good.
like the ultimate thing. I wish I would have been a surprise, but it's been almost what years since we last talked. Is it years? I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been like at least 2 years, I think.
Well, on the podcast, it's been a while, but we stay connected on social media. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's my goal. If it happens, I will. It's gonna make me super happy to make it happen for you. But
that'd be really cool.
you've been doing this for a while, and you've been doing some stuff. Like I've given you. We've talked about how your accent, even though growing up in a Spanish-speaking country, you don't really have much of an English or of a Spanish accent in your English language.
Yeah,
that was a mouthful, and my Mexican accent probably came out a little bit through that. But that's what we talked about. And how's the voiceover thing going?
it's going great, man. Like I've made a little bit of investments on it. Like I've set up like this whole place now just for voiceover stuff. I'm learning every day. Like I'm just taking courses and stuff whenever I can, just to learn a little bit better about sound editing and everything. And it's been fun, honestly. Like over the last couple of months that I haven't had like a full-time job, this is what's bringing like bread to the table. It's been good. I've had a lot of opportunities here. Luckily, I've met the right people that like constantly send me voiceover stuff. And it's been good. It's been good. It's been interesting to be able to do this kind of work that I've thought about ever since I saw Mrs. Doubtfire. Like that was it. That was like my dream job of just like doing voiceover, just talking for a living. And
is it because he always had like different accents to do and
dude,
different voices?
Robin Williams, man, he was like he's up there. He's up there, right, with like Mel LeBlanc, just genius voiceover people who were funny and could create different voices, and they could be whoever they really wanted to be. It was amazing to me. It was seeing something that I could do as a child on TV. Because when you're a kid, you don't really think about like the voices behind a cartoon or anything. You're like, no, that's Tom, that's Jerry, that's Mickey, that's whatever. And so for me, like seeing that behind the scenes of like, oh, somebody actually has to like record these lines. Somebody has to like say whatever the characters are saying. Like it just clicked on me that I was like, this is something that I would love to do one day. And that thought really disappeared for years. I never really thought about it until I came to Vietnam and I got an opportunity to do one and was like, oh yeah, like this I remember this feeling of like, okay, this is something cool that I can do. It's a fantastic side gig. I do it on my own, like pretty much even when I have a full-time job, I can do it at night, couple of hours a night, record some stuff, make a little bit of money, make a little bit of quick money. And it's been really nice over the last like what, maybe 2-3 years that I've been doing it. I now have like a lot of regular clients that come to me with like a voiceover for like business meetings, for like stuff like ads in general. I've done a lot of like tourism based stuff, education based stuff. So now I just need to start breaking into like cartoons, animations, and that kind of thing. That would be amazing for me, because that's the one part I haven't been able to really flex that muscle to like be doing voiceover for like cartoons and that kind of thing.
And you're right. Like I never, obviously watching cartoons, I never thought about like there's a person. Well, I mean, in a sense, like changing their voice to, or okay, maybe I was like, oh, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's people making their voice change for them, but I never thought that one person can change their voice for multiple characters, whatever that is. But I know my grandfather, he would call Robin Williams. Like I don't think he ever really knew his real name, or but he would always come in like, and there's a Robin Williams movie coming on. He's like, ese es el señor de mil voces. And I don't know if that's his real nickname or what, if anybody called him that, but he would say that el señor de mil voces, like a man of thousand voices. And yeah, like he would do it, and then after that, I would see like Eddie Murphy doing the clumps, and him playing the same character with all different kind of voices. Like, and that's when I started noticing, it's like, oh man, people can really manipulate their voice to different things, and so I can imagine it being a difficult industry to break into, but at the same time, something that not a lot of people can do. And I feel like your voice definitely lends to that, because I've seen different voiceovers that you've done, like instructional ones, and they're so very professionally done, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just have to jump on this podcast and I can slur half things and talk in cursive half the time, but it's different.
It's definitely a different kind of thing, because it's a lot of people forget like the part of the job description is voice acting, and so there has to be actual acting being done, because it's not just about reading off the page. It's, you got to give it a vibe, you got to give it a tone, you got to make sure that the speed is right, you got to make sure that if you're working for an animation, you have to know what the motivations behind the character are. So it is very different. It's absolutely not something that everybody can do, or at least something that not everybody can do without practice and training and a little bit of work. Some people are naturals at it. I feel like I am. I've never been professionally trained for this, but I've spent my entire life making funny voices and doing weird things. And so it's but again, same thing. It requires practice for you to develop like the muscles and to kind of develop the voices to create the characters in your head, or to make sure that you understand what the prompt is, basically.
Or even remembering like a certain voice. Like I feel like, oh, I made a funny voice and I'll make somebody laugh. But if you ask me to do that again 2 days later, I have no idea what I did. Like I can, but people remember the voice and what they did to make that come out of their mouth, like that, those vocal things.
Yeah, and
I'll do it.
It's like a physical thing, to be honest, because like I can switch over from one voice to another without really thinking about it. I can't tell you exactly how I'm making this, but it's a weird thing that you can't really explain. It's like trying to explain to somebody how to whistle. You're like, well, you kind of do this, and then you figure out the rest because I don't really know how to explain what I'm doing with my mouth right now.
Yeah, and there's people that do that though. I don't know how I feel about that. Like there's people that tell you how you're gonna. Well, I mean, there's coaching like to do accents. There is a certain
Yeah.
thing we do in general as a person that grew up Hispanic or a person that grew up in Honduras or Vietnam, like what the accent is and what the dialect is. But when you do like a funny voice, like you just did, like nobody can teach you that. Like it's just something you did, right? I don't
Yeah.
think they can teach you how to do a funny voice, but
It's I know that there's like vocal training that you can do, but like you said, like it's just something that you kind of have to discover on your own. Because same thing, like I can explain to you how to do it. I can explain to you like the tone of voice that you gotta put, how to breathe, how to do. Like there's a lot of because I did a quick seminar on like voice training, and so it was very general ideas. I'm like, okay, how to improve how much air you're putting out, or how to improve like the speed at which you're talking, but that's about it. It's very general things, and then the voices themselves, that's down to you to make them. Like nobody can really tell you how to make a voice because everybody's voice box is different, everybody's tone is different, everybody's accent is different. So it can be very hard to kind of explain those things, and that's why I took the seminar, because I was like, I need to know like what, like maybe I'm missing something, maybe I can learn something new, and I did, but it wasn't what I thought I was going to learn. You know
how
what I
are
mean?
you with filler words?
With filler words,
Yeah, or filler
I, I
sounds.
I do a lot, because mostly, well, number one, I've got ADHD. Number two, I never shut the fuck up. So I don't know where a sentence is ending whenever I start it. So I do a lot of filler words. When it's voiceover, it's a lot easier for me. That's why I feel like that's why it's easier for me. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna say. I usually don't even read the scripts before I like do it. I'm just reading, and as I'm reading it, I'm just like guessing what the tone of voice is. It's just kind of a very instinctive thing. So at least for like narrations and like educational things and all that, I never read the scripts. I'm like, yeah, no, I've done this enough that I can just pull out a piece of paper and just continue to read it absolutely normally, and it would be perfectly fine.
I think about that because I constantly think about what I'm saying and been trying to remove filler words. And I just did that. I just did one right there. The worst one I have, like, I really do try to get rid of the likes and the so's. I
Nah.
think for the most part, I don't say those, but my biggest, worst one I do is I
Oh
do.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Come on, you don't have to like agree so quickly to me.
Oh no. I mean, like, what I mean is I do that one too.
Okay.
It's like that. That's my little 1 second break to remember. Like, wait, where was I going with this? I was like, what was I saying? Oh, okay. All right. Let's keep going.
Yes, there's certain times where I can think about the like and I don't say the like. I mean, obviously, sometimes you have to say the like when you're describing something.
Yeah.
But
But like,
like yes.
yeah,
So
you're
see, I
like, but
wouldn't have
like,
used it there. I
el pero
but
like,
or when people go so and then I dislike that. I've I've tried to get it out forever, and I think I do a great job with that. But is like it's like almost it's like it's
it's yeah, it's just something that comes out. It's
yeah.
instinctive. It's not something that you really think about. It's a reaction. It's I. It's funny you should bring up filler words, because again, I've been learning Vietnamese, and I don't know why. And this is something that my fiance brought up to me, and I hate that I'm gonna put this in a podcast that's gonna be on the internet forever.
For
Uh,
life.
because it's gonna give her it's gonna make her right. So apparently, when I speak Vietnamese, because I have to think about what the hell I'm saying, I can't be fluent with it. I need to think, translate, and then say. Apparently, I say ne a lot, And so I'll add it to like the end of sentences for no real reason, or at the beginning of sentences for no
Is
reason.
that a word? What is it?
That is not a fucking word. It's also Japanese. So
Oh, okay. Hey, could it be like the Vietnamese version of the like Canada, like eh?
yeah, it's absolutely not a Vietnamese thing. I know for a fact it's Japanese. And it's not like I have been watching like a ton of anime or something to like at least be like, oh, well, that's why I'm doing it. It's like, no, I don't know where I picked it up, and now I can't fucking kick it loose.
You know what I noticed today? Actually, I was talking to some relatives, and it hit me. I was like, when I ask an open-ended question in Spanish, I always end the question with "okay, okay," like or what, okay. And I like, there's no real reason. I can just say what I'm asking and end it, but then I go, okay. But it's something I've learned, like just to take away the beauty thing about the podcast is that it's recorded. And so I usually take out all the
See, for me, it's I think I've transitioned a little bit from like the to like just putting little dramatic pauses in my speech. And so I'll just be like, so when we talk about these things, you need to be able to describe something. And I notice I do it a lot, and I think that's like subconsciously just me trying to not be like, um, so
yeah.
I'll just insert a pause.
I've done that, especially when I'm trying to speak in public, like in front of people. But then I start thinking in my head, like, you sound like Obama right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Today we are
Today we are gathered.
we're here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about. But yeah, so anyways, the ums are edited out thanks to the power of editing.
I can just hear this podcast already, just like, and then just like a mute. Just like, soda.
Oh no, it's so perfectly done you can barely
Just
even
like just like a weird void in the middle, just like empty silence.
No, I've done this long enough to where I have perfected it, almost perfected it. I challenge people to figure out at what time I took out the
There you go.
Challenge.
Leave it in the comments. How many times has Jorge said in this podcast?
And
Start
leave the
counting now.
timestamp. Leave the timestamp. Prove it to me, baby. I was about to say it. See, I was about to go.
I'm just gonna start inserting random ums, but while I'm smiling and just like just to fuck with you.
Aaron, so what are you gonna like? What is or what is like the opportunity? Because I'm sure with being able to work as voice acting, you can do it from almost anywhere.
Yeah.
What is your foot in the door? I know you've gotten opportunities. You've connected with the right people that can get you different opportunities. But is there a right foot in the door that they can just like? I don't know if people can even tell what I just did there, but yeah, but kind of just launch you. You know, you got to get real lucky too with anything, even with what I'm doing. But you're working.
I think it's honestly part luck, part talent, part how much you network. It's pretty much the same way that I got big on Snapchat, 10 years ago. It's exactly the same way. You just have to meet the right people, and you have to not be afraid to do things. Because I feel like that's what stops a lot of people when they hear that I do like recordings, that I do voiceover. I hear it a lot of like, oh, I could never do that. Like, oh, how do you do it? I hate listening to myself. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You just do it. You just jump into it. Because again, this is not a super hard thing to do as a hobby or like as a one-time thing, for example. It's not hard. What's hard is then remaining consistent and and finding jobs and all that kind of thing. So it really is a combination of all three, of just like keep doing it, get lucky, meet the right people, just network, and that really helps you out. Like for example, here I've got like two contacts, one that works for a TV station, and another one that actually runs a voice talent agency. And those two people are usually the ones that are sending me like a lot of work. And they just contact me. They have my reels, they have my information, and so immediately they're like, "Oh, do you need somebody that speaks English and with a nice voice?" Like, hey, Aaron, there's this. How much would you charge me for it? And I'm like, "All right, cool." So it's just like any hobby turned into a side hustle, turned into a career. You kind of just have to keep going at it. You just kind of have to put in the work, but also be very lucky. Because I know if I hadn't met these two people, if I hadn't met a couple of other people along the way, I would not be where I am with my voiceover work. I mean, to this point, I've done over, Lord knows how many. Like I've done hundreds of voiceover at this point, and it would have been very easy for me to just stop and not be where I am with this, like with this path in life, really. Like for me, like buying a microphone and starting to learn how to edit and all that stuff, it was a game changer for me. It was really of like, no, you know what, I'm gonna put in the work that this requires, and then
Like I'm
made my
serious
little
about
reel.
this now.
Yeah, it's like this is something that I really enjoy, and it's something that brings me money. Like I've been unemployed for the last like 2 months and just kind of chilling and relaxing and enjoying life. It's like I've been fun employed. Hopefully that ends soon. But over the last 2 months, voiceover is what's covered the bills. It's something that I never thought that would be it. Like 3 years ago when I started and just making a couple of bucks on a recording, never did I think that I would be then recording 3 hours a day every day, and that would pay that would make half of the paycheck that I was doing on a 9 to 5 job.
Mhm.
And so it's been really good. Like just keeping at it, just not giving up, and just honestly making it feel more like a fun thing to do than a job helps.
That makes sense. And it's crazy because you said voiceover has been paying the bills so far. So I'm kind of thinking like you're already like, why would you go back to a 9 to 5 kind of thing? And
Like,
and I
because I
and I
need
don't want to like pry into personal things or anything like that, but
because I need a visa.
okay.
Like
So that makes
maybe
sense.
after July, yeah. So after July, we're getting married, and on July, and then we're doing the legal ceremony back home. I'm going home for the first time in 5 years, and so after that, maybe I'll reconsider. But as of now, I still need somebody to sponsor my visa, somebody to give me like work permits and everything. So I still gotta have a 9 to 5 job.
Well, yeah, I think in all that I heard an invitation to the wedding. So yes, I'm RSVPing. I
You
appreciate
can
that.
come. You can come to the Honduras. Which one do you want to come to? Honduras one or Vietnam one?
Oh, dang. I don't know. That would be cool. That would be interesting. That would be a
We,
tough
we,
choice, actually.
uh, we were making numbers yesterday. So Vietnamese families, particularly the older generations, are very similar to Latino families. There was no TV, so boning was everything that was happening. My fiance's family, on her dad's side, there are, I think it's 7 or 8 brothers, and on her mom's side, it's about the same, 6 or 7. And so we were talking a little bit about like wedding arrangements and everything, because I was like, look, I don't really know that many people here. I could probably count how many people I have with all of my fingers and toes. And so I'm gonna have very few people at my wedding, but I'm inviting people that I know maybe live in nearby countries, people that I still talk to or that I've interacted with. And then so we're starting to like figure out all these things to start really planning for it. And then my fiance just starts counting, and she's like, well, let me see how many people would be on my side, and starts counting off. Just uncles, aunts, spouses and first cousins was already like 80 something people.
Dang. Okay. Dang.
And I was like, okay. So it's okay. It's like, all right, it's about 80 people. It's a medium-sized wedding for a Vietnamese wedding. Cool. And then I was like, yeah, and my mom wants a table for like 10 of her friends. I was like, all right, that's 90. All right. And then probably we're gonna have to invite like other people, like extended family that don't live in Hanoi and everything. And so like that's probably gonna be like already over 100. And I'm like, I have 10. I got 10 people.
Well, listen, I want you to invite me to the one with the least likelihood of getting stabbed, but most likelihood of getting chorro.
Vietnam then.
Done
Vietnam.
deal.
She's gonna kill me. I just keep inviting everybody, just everybody, just come. It's fine. Just come. I just need people visiting me in Vietnam. That's all I want. Just come here. Just
I would actually 100% be really interested in something like that. But you know what? Not for, I don't want to put you out for like a wedding or anything like that. I will visit you because you're a friend.
ah,
Oh, and
he's a liar, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to go to Vietnam.
He just wanted an excuse.
I want chorro in Vietnam. No, man, I do appreciate you a lot. Like I've honestly, since it's so weird talking about Snapchat, like it's weird.
So long ago.
Yes, and I mean people still use it. I don't know.
I
if
check it like once a month.
every now I check it. I don't, but like I look at old messages of people like where I was like, hey, thanks for following me. This is what you're gonna expect on my Snapchat, blah blah blah, and like stupid things that we used to do back in the day, like that.
It's really weird because over the last 2 years I've been teaching business, and I've been teaching a class where basically the students have to build their own business and like run a business for the year. And so it's really weird when I talk to my students about marketing and promotion and all those things, and they ask me about, all right, so how do you know all these things? And I'm like, well, I kind of used to be a content creator on Snapchat. Like I used to have like 10,000 followers there. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's just something I kind of did. It's it's a moment in my life. And they're like, but so you were like famous? I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't say I was famous, but like a lot of people listened to my crap. It wasn't any particularly what I didn't think it was like a really like, oh, this is a show. It's like it was just something that I did for fun. But yeah, I had like 10,000 people just listening to me and tuning into my channel and like interacting with me. So it was really fun. And then so I told them like that's how I understand how this works, because all social media is pretty much the same. It's all about interaction. It's about connecting with people. It's about creating things that you are that they are going to relate to, really. And so going through them, telling them like, all right, if you're gonna make social media stuff, then you need to make sure that your things are interesting. If you're making boring things, nobody's gonna care. It's like if you don't have a way to connect with people, if you don't have a way to really show people why they should continue to follow you or why they need to continue to see your stuff, they're not going to. They're going to watch it once and then they're going to move on. So you have to make content that's relatable to them. And it blows their little minds. And then they start trying to look me up on social media. And I'm like, joke's on you. Everything was on Snapchat. It disappeared.
It all disappeared.
But some of them do find like at least my Instagram and stuff, and then they'll find like my old drawings that I used to do, and they'll be like, "Teacher, I didn't know you could draw and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, I also know how to draw, and I do other stuff." And they're like, "What?" And they'll go through my entire social media, like stalking me, and
That's
it's
how
really
like
funny.
I feel like that's how I kind of grew on Snapchat. Like yes, it's weird to talk about now. It's like you're like, oh, were you Snapchat famous? Like, I don't know. Like that's weird to talk about. But I did have a big following on Snapchat that was like mind blowing to me. But I know I started with the dumb skits, like silly skits, and also drawing on Snapchat until they ruined the color wheel thing on it. I was like, you take a picture of something and then draw something over it. That was the best thing to do. And
Yeah.
then I took that off and I was like, well, I guess I got silly skits still going for me. But with that, like from Snapchat, I've kept in touch with two people. You, Aaron, and I was looking up on my phone just so I could get her name right because she changes her name a lot. But Jessie, I still keep
Just yeah.
yeah. So I wanted to make sure I say her name the way she has it on her in social media. So I keep in touch with, and actually, she drew this for me. Like all this, this is all her.
Oh, it was her. I mean,
Yeah,
actually, it does look like her style. Yeah.
yeah, like that's all her, and we've been in contact. We're like pretty good, just like you and I. Like we'll probably go for a month without talking, but then we can send a message to each other and we just pick up wherever we left off. So again, like that, I appreciated the fact that Snapchat taught me certain things about putting yourself out there on the internet, but also the people I met, and obviously the two people that I still keep in touch have been close to me, and I do appreciate the fact that you're a friend.
Yeah, it's a nice thing because same
Say you're
thing
my
like for
friend.
you.
Say you're my friend. Say you're my friend.
No. Yeah, it is nice like developing these friendships honestly through social media. It's a weird thing because I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the idea of being friends with somebody who you have never met was not a thing. You would have pen pals and it'd be like, hey, whatever. Like that's a weird thing. Why are you
Somebody
talking to
in
somebody you don't
prison
know?
somewhere.
Yeah. Like, why are you talking to somebody that you don't know? You've never seen them. Like this person could be like somewhere in I don't know, in Canada or whatever. It's
Probably the only word that gets bleeped in this podcast, by the way.
Good. And so it's a weird. It was a weird thing.
Also, why Canada?
Also, I don't know. It was the first thing I could think of.
Fair enough.
It's like TV is always like, oh, I have a boyfriend in Canada. Like, so I don't know. Maybe that's why. And
with their poutine.
And so like have like meeting somebody that you or like talking to somebody that you had never met before was a weird thing. Stranger danger was a thing.
Still is, but yes.
Don't talk to strangers. And now 20 years past, 30 years past, we get on a stranger's car to take us somewhere.
Yeah.
I will talk to people online that I have never met in my life and that I will never meet in my life. And I will talk to them about my personal life and about how I'm feeling and my thoughts. I'll send pictures to people and they'll send me pictures back and to just be like, oh, well, that's nice. Like, I see that you're skiing and wherever. Like, that's cool. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, we didn't grow up like this. And so to see the world shift from like everybody on the internet is dangerous and is out to get you to, hey, here's my location. It's like you can find me within an accuracy of 2 meters.
Yes.
It's a really weird thing when you think about it, like especially for us. And then the new generation who are growing up with this technology, who are growing up with this, it's so different how they think about it than how we used to do it. And it's a cool thing to see how it evolves. Same thing we were talking about earlier, like things evolve and things change, not always for the better, but they're going to be different at least. It's an interesting thing. And so like for you and me, like having so many people follow us on social media and then us talking to them or interacting with them for no real reason other than we can. It's a really cool, but also really weird thing.
No, it is. I'm a fan of weird, but it is a weird thing. And I will for the most part, I do practice the fact of like, when I make a story or something, you know how most people are like, hey, here I am and on this beach, whatever. And then they post it and send it. I'm one of those who's like, hey, I'm on this beach here and also end it. And then I save it and then I'll post it like 4 or 5 days later.
It's like, you don't want to get kidnapped. I get it.
Exactly.
I'm the other kind of idiot. I was like, I was just in Singapore the whole day, just like, hey, look at this, look at where I'm at. I'm like, send, picture. I'm like, hey, look at this thing. Look, hey, here's another thing. Hey, look at this. This is really weird, or really funny, or really dumb. And like, hey, let me tag my location so you know exactly where to kidnap me.
Hey, nobody's gonna want to kidnap me, and I'm also too heavy to kidnap. But I'm also
It's like, if you can kidnap me, you deserve it. You get that payday, okay?
Nobody's gonna pay you, but you worked hard for that.
Yeah. It's like, you're gonna regret this, but well done.
Joke's on you. Nobody liked me in the first place.
Joke's on you. I don't know anybody with money.
Joke's on you. You did the job for free.
It's like, nobody's paying you to give me back. If anything, they're gonna pay you to keep me. So joke's on you.
The only time I do post in that moment is like if it's a big event, like if I'm at a live event that I want to show off that I'm at. That's the only time I really do it.
Just for internet clout.
Hi, I'm all here for it, baby. Aaron, we've gone too hard, too fast. I want to get your new Too Hard, Too Fast story. But before you do that, where can people follow you? Snapchat not a thing anymore.
Snapchat's not a thing. You can follow me on Snapchat if you want. Flame Fingers. I never post anything, but you know, I like friends. You can follow me on Instagram, flame_fingers, because at Flame Fingers is actually some old lady somewhere in the middle of the USA that knits. I hate that is a thing.
Is that really? Is that for real?
That 100%. When
I'm 100% gonna follow her. 100%.
When I opened up my Snapchat, when I opened up my Instagram, finally, there was some old lady with my username already. And so I had to put like flame_fingers. And
I hope she's still alive because I'm going to follow her.
I have not checked in a while. Let's see. Let's do this right now.
Hey, Too Hard, Too Fast. We don't check facts, but we will for this one.
We will further. I need to know if she's okay. I hope she's okay. Let's see if she made it through the code. Her name is Vanessa. You can absolutely follow her. Jesus, she gets more likes than my stuff. God damn. And she's still well and alive. Good job. She posted a week ago.
Hey.
She is a mom, a Mimi to 3 granddaughters that she misses terribly.
Florida in life, Colorado in dreams. Okay.
Yeah.
She's wild like Florida, but chill as Colorado.
See, I love that she even has a damn website for like her knitting and everything called. And I'm gonna just plug her stuff in. I don't have anything to plug today, so go into spinningmylifeaway.com and check out what Vanessa is doing. I guess.
Hey, I'll make it in the edits happen over here just for her. You know what? She needs to come on the podcast now.
Go invite her.
Hey, so my friend Aaron.
So my friend Aaron really wants your username. Can you like, you know, like her website is called Spinning My Life Away. Why isn't that your username?
What? Hey, because she's spinning fire on that thing, on those yarns.
That broke me, man. Like this has been my username since like Newgrounds, so like early 2000s. And I could not get it on Instagram. If you ever see a Flame Fingers on the internet, it's more than likely me. Usually about 98% of Flame Fingers on the internet is me. Because whenever there's like a new social media, I learned from Instagram. Whenever something new comes up, I go immediately, even if I'm not going to use it, I go immediately and build the username.
Oh, smart.
Which, good tip for everybody who is Gen Z, go set aside your usernames now. It's getting a lot harder to come up with original usernames.
Hey, for real. Well, Too Hard, Too Fast story.
All right, I think I know what my story is gonna be. I think my story is gonna be the first time that I got here. That my first trip to Vietnam. Well, no, not my first trip. My my first trip to Vietnam. It was a dumb and long fucking journey.
a trip before you actually decided to move there? Like this is your first trip, like just visiting?
This was when I came for like a camp. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I made the decision to move all the way here because
What if
I'm a
this is the same?
dumbass.
What if this is the same story you said last time? Well, people gonna have to
Fuck.
figure.
I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was. I remember last time I think I said something really weird. I can't remember what it was though.
I don't remember either. But you know what? If there's actually somebody that is cool enough to figure out, that'd be cool.
Yes. No, I'm sure I haven't told this story. It's the usual story that I said about like how my flight was 46 hours long.
Oh, that's a
Fucking
long
insane.
time.
It's a long fucking flight.
All right, too hard, too fast story. Let's hear it. Well,
All right.
it doesn't sound fast at all. It sounds like a long ass story.
It's like it's just like a very inconvenient story. This is more of a story, a cautionary tale when traveling to Asia. I apologize ahead of time. This might not be that entertaining. This is just to let you know traveling to Asia is long, especially if you're coming from the Americas, especially if you're coming from Central and South America. It's a long ass flight. So my flight was 6 years ago. So 7 years ago. No, 6 years ago, actually. So 6 years ago, I get invited to be in a camp in Vietnam. So my fiance in that time was like, "Oh, look, there's an opportunity here. We both were volunteering for an organization called CISV, and I was like, it's an opportunity we need a camp director to come and run the camp for us." And I was like, "I've never been to Vietnam." I'm like, "Cool. Like, are they helping with like the ticket and everything?" And they're like, "Yes." I'm like, "I'm in. Like, I'm down." Tickets were $2,000 for like the ticket to come here. And they still are like $2,000. So I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, if they'll help support the payment for this, I'm down for it. And so I get ready, I prepare everything. It was a whole situation. It was my first time ever doing like a visa on arrival. I had never done anything. I thought the whole idea was crazy. Traveling 48 hours to the other side of the world and then being told like, "Oh yeah, no, you can't come in." Like the entire trip, I was just panicking of like, man, what if they turn me around? This ain't like going to the US and being turned around. Like this is it ain't 2 hours that I'm gonna go back home. And so I start off my travel from Honduras. I move on to El Salvador. It's like a 30-minute flight. Everything cool. Stay there for like an hour. Then we start traveling up. Go from El Salvador all the way to California. I'm traveling for hours. Everything's okay on the flights. I get to LAX. I think it was maybe like 2 a.m. Late. I am carrying a little rolling bag. I'm carrying my book bag full with stuff. And I'm carrying just like whatever basic stuff in there. LAX, and I want you to hear me very clearly, people who live in LA. LAX is by far the worst airport I have ever been to in my life. Fuck that airport.
I think everybody would agree with you with that.
Yeah. Fuck LAX. Don't deny me the visa right now. I'm applying for a visa. So I get to LAX. It's like 2 a.m. My flight doesn't leave till maybe 8 or 9 a.m. And so I'm having to wait. I couldn't even check in. It was too early. They were like, "No, you have to wait like 3 hours before the flight till you can check in." I'm like, fuck. So I'm there with 3 big bags, just holding on to everything that I own at that point. I had like my carry-on bag that again had my entire life in there because I was like moving. And so I'm like just freaking out a little bit of like, okay, where can I go? Where can I do? What do I do? I can't really go anywhere outside. LAX is like in the middle of nowhere. It's really expensive also. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna stay in the hotel in the airport. And so I proceed to just kind of jam my big ass bag underneath some benches in like the arrivals hall. Jam it all in there. I'm like strapping it in my bag and just like kind of hugging it, just like being like super uncomfortable on the floor. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and get some sleep. I'm like, cool. I then realize very quickly that LAX is an airport that thrives on chaos and paranoia every 15 minutes.
Welcome to LAX. Please make sure that all of your equipment is with you at all times. Don't let anybody touch your shit.
Every 15 minutes for 7 hours. Who's trying to touch my shit? Nobody touched my shit. I'm like, I was supposed to fucking sleep for at least a couple of hours. Couldn't fucking do it. Every 15 minutes, a shouting voice of God just screaming in my ears, people are trying to steal your shit.
I remember there was a time where in airports, I don't remember which airport it was, but it was like, make sure you packed your own bag, kind of thing. I'm like, they said it so much. I was like, did somebody else pack my bag? Like, it made me think of that.
LAX, same thing. It was just like, make sure that you have an eye on your packages at all times. Please make sure don't hold anything for anybody. Don't take anything from strangers that you don't know. And I was like 6 hours or so of just listening to this every 15 minutes, paranoid as hell. I was already exhausted at that point. That like my trip had already been like maybe 12 hours or something like that. So I was already like struggle busing, and I was just like, I need to sleep. I'm broken right now, and just keep hearing that blasted into my head. It was just like, it was a horrible experience. Just horrible experience. Finally, I'm like, all right, it's time to check in. I go in, start making my way across. Made it all the way. I think the first time I landed in Singapore. And I am greeted with this beautiful place. The Changi Airport in Singapore is gorgeous. It is one of the places in the world where you want to hang out at the airport. I just did it again like a couple of days ago, and it's still an amazing airport. They've got they have Jurassic Park shit all over. They have like an actual dinosaur park at the airport. And so it was such a weird moment of like flying across the sea and going from everybody's trying to steal your shit to like, hey, we have virtual reality here. Come try our things. Hey, we've got a lot of cool shit in here. So it was just like a cognitive dissonance. And after being like traveling for at that point, like almost a day, it was so weird. It was interesting and weird and nice. And then I finally get to Vietnam, and it was just like, I was just exhausted from my trip. I remember I went to Singapore. I actually had like a priority pass that I paid just for the trip so I could use like all the first class lounges and shit. And I went in and it was like, holy fuck, like this, I could just live here. It was amazing. It was incredible. So what I'm saying is, the point of my story is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever going to travel to Asia, make sure that you can survive with your thoughts, with your baggages wrapped around you. Make sure that that you have a plan. You need a plan, because you're going to spend a lot of time inside a closed capsule, or you're going to spend a lot of time sleeping on floors, on really uncomfortable furniture. So plan it out. It's worth it, especially if you've never done a trip that big or you're not used to traveling a lot. Plan ahead. Bring an activity with you. Bring a game. Bring some cards. Bring your, well, now that you can fly with a Switch, bring a video game. Plan ahead. Because not planning ahead can be chaotic. It will induce your paranoia, and you will end up exhausted. You will literally just end up dead exhausted at the end of your trip.
Listen, if you're trying to make myself regret forcefully self-inviting myself to your wedding, well, you've done a great job. But
You don't have it as bad. Your trip will only be like a day. So like you should survive it. You're in Texas. You can travel to Houston to fly out from Houston. And so it's a lot easier from there because I think there's like a direct flight from like Houston all the way to like Japan or Korea or Singapore or somewhere else, and then it's just like one connection. So it's you'll have it really easy.
Before we close out, Aaron, can you in Vietnamese, and I probably said that weird, can you please say Too Hard Too Fast podcast? How would you say that?
Too hard, too fast podcast.
Oh, really? There's no like translation?
There's probably a translation. I don't know it, Jorge.
Dang it, man.
Like, sir, how would I know that?
5 years in the country.
Let's see. Let's go to Google Translate. Let's see.
Nope, Too Hard Too Fast. We don't check facts. That's good enough for me.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, I actually know how to say too hard now that I think about it. Quaho. Oh, yeah. Quaho, quanyan. I actually do know how to say too hard, too fast. I'm an idiot. I do know all these words.
What even?
I don't know. Let's see. That's probably just going to be like a translated one. Yeah, podcast.
Okay.
Quaho, quanyan, podcast.
All right, say it again without me talking over you.
Quaho, quanyan, podcast.
Oh, I'm all here for it, baby. And we just got
to apologize, Vietnam.
With Aaron, Mejia, the real flame fingers. Vanessa, we're coming for you. Not in a violent way, but you know, we're all for your Instagram and
I just want your handle. I just want your handle. That's it. You can keep doing your knitting. I just want the handle. That's it.
That's it. But we've just gone too hard, too fast. Remember, Jitterbee you, Jitterbee weird. All the way from 12 hours into the future, Aaron Mejia. Bye.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody. I love you all. And, you know, just ask for my PayPal if you want to pitch in for my wedding. Jesus Christ.
Are you like on your computer still looking at this?
I'm literally just scrolling through her Instagram.
Just leaving me messages. Give me my name. Give me my name. Give me my name.
Just